Morning, Charles. How are you doing?
Well, thanks, Luke. Yeah, good to be here today.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're just on the cusp of breaking up for Christmas, so I appreciate you taking the time to invest in this interview. Really appreciate it. So, just for the people that are watching, to give a bit more context to the interview, if you wouldn't mind, just give me a quick overview of what it is you do and how you came to be in this position.
Yeah, so as you can probably see on the screen, my name's Charles Devenish. I'm the managing director of ADEXON Fire Smoke Curtains. We are a designer and manufacturer of fire curtains. If you don't know what one of those is, you probably do know what a roller shutter is, and a fire curtain is, I like to describe it as a more modern version of a fire-rated roller shutter. So very similar structure in the sense it has a couple of guides either side of the product and a barrel contained in a head box at the top. And on a fire, it will activate and drop down and provide a fire barrier essentially. And the reasons why they're better than roller shutters or yeah, they're just more flexible, more versatile, is they are lighter in weight, so they're easier to integrate into the building fabric. They are smaller, they're more compact. They don't have such a big, bulky curtain, so they're easier to fit into ceiling voids, and they're lighter in weight, so you don't need as much structural steelwork, etc. So yeah, it's design and manufacture active fire curtains.
Mhm. So, from who tend to be your customers then in doing this?
A lot of our products would go into new build construction. There is a lot of the secondary market, but 80% of the market would be the new build construction. So architects very much like the product because they might be trying to design a building and have some open plan space and creating some nice airy feeling to the design. And then the fire engineer might say, well, I need to compartment this in the event of a fire. So, you need to put a wall in here or some doors or glazing. And the solution to that is a fire curtain because it's up out of sight, virtually invisible all day, every day until you need it, hopefully never. But when you do need it, it'll drop down to the floor and provide that compartmentation.
Nice. So it's more commercial use than residential use, or a bit of both.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it'd be mainly commercial offices,
Mhm.
a whole range of a big application of them is on over lift doorways, around stairwells, anywhere where fire can typically spread in a building, like sort of between floors, for example, or even across floors where you want to compartment. And then if you want to provide a protected escape route, they're a great product for that as well. So
Nice. So I'm guessing, is it like if you wanted a big open plan, but I know there's certain regulations in terms of how much open space you can have, it then allows you to have more open plan, but you can have the curtain drop down.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How did you get into that then?
I probably couldn't say exactly, but I started the business back in 2005, so 18 and a half years ago now. And I've probably got a bit of engineering in me. I didn't do engineering. I've probably got a bit of business, sort of entrepreneurial sort of side to me as well. So putting the two together, I was just looking at what to go for, what to start in business, and decide on something that would be recession proof and would grow, and there'd always be market for it. So we also have a range of security products as well. But we've latterly, especially since Grenfell, have been very much focusing and investing on the fire side.
Yeah. Sounds not a bad business decision making to go into something that's required by law. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah. That's what I wanted. Something that you're going to invest a lot of you might see a lot of your life, essentially a lot of your time and money into. Is as I wanted it to something that would provide steady, solid returns and not be just a novelty or something that might come and go. And yeah, that's been a vindicated decision.
Nice. So, if you had to start off in business in like square one or start again, what would you do differently now that you've got hindsight, the gift of hindsight
Yeah,
now?
no, it's a very good question. So the first thing you need is a product that there is demand for, if you like, and there is a market for. Do your research on the product. Check if you're going to be treading on other people's toes, or whether there's some blue water, as we call it, that you can go into. And then positioning yourself is very, very important. And, none of us want to sell on price, but price is, you might say, the second P of marketing in my book after product. So there's, people tell you any number of P's in marketing, but you can say there's 7, but is number 1 is product. You've got to have a good product that does what it says. Customers do want it. There's demand for it. It makes people's lives easier, helps reduce their risk, their stress, whatever it might be. So start with your product, get your product right, then you need to position it with your pricing, and then obviously position it with your marketing after that. But yeah, and you need to earn trust. So, you're not going to necessarily start with your final pricing strategy on day 1. But you can build up to that. People need to buy into what you're doing and prove it for themselves, and then they can start, and they're more happy to pay the premium price if you're selling a premium product.
Nice. You mentioned blue water. Is that a bit of a play on words from the book Blue Ocean Strategy?
Not sure where it comes from. I've been on that many courses and watched that much stuff over the years. I'm probably not quoting it verbatim, but essentially the analogy is to get away from the feeding frenzy. So, where all the sharks are, and it's, red water. And you essentially want to go and find some blue water for yourself where you can go hunting. So it's essentially differentiation, and you'd probably, everyone would probably say that it's critical to have a USP. It sounds like a bit of a buzzword, but why do you matter? Why does your product matter? What does it give to the customer that you can't get in 6 other places or 10 other places? And you do need to differentiate and position yourselves.
Yeah. I think the premise of it is, like, if you take like the Cirque du Soleil, for example, if you pay for a circus ticket, it might be 2 or 3 quid. Pay for tickets to the acrobatics might be 2 or 3 quid, £5. But you put circus with acrobatics, it's now 200 quid a ticket. So you're creating your own sort of ocean. So you've gone from blinds a certain amount, fire rated stuff a certain amount, put them together. You then create your own sort of sector or industry or category where you can then charge a premium for the product that you provide.
Yeah. I mean, we very much believe in value. I think customers should continue to get the good solid value. I'd say the best value in the marketplace. We would always seek to provide the best value. That's not necessarily the lowest price, but it's the right product to do the right job with the right warranties, compliant legally, with third-party certification, good whole life maintenance regime. So it's not going to break down in year 3 or 4. We're putting stuff into buildings that are designed to be there for many, many years. So yeah, providing the right value. And I'd actually say there's no shortcuts for the bulk of us. A few people win the lottery, but if you want to make sure that you're going to be in a good place when you're 40 or 50, whatever it is, there's no shortcuts. It's, intelligent or informed, focused hard work, and you'll reap your dividends. Do the right thing, live by timeless values such as integrity, honesty. If you can make a commitment, you're going to do something. You're going to an appointment or a meeting. That's a promise to be there on time, and you'll reap the rewards from it. I wouldn't try and sell anybody any quick win schemes or anything. I think they're just that's not my book.
Out of interest, so on that point, so, how long did you think it was going to take you to get the business to where it is now, compared to how long did it actually take you, do you think, in years? Because I think a lot of people go into business think, oh, I'll be there in 2 or 3 years, but then
we had a very definite strategy to get to 7 figures revenue and a set profit margin within 3 years, and we hit that a month early. And then we've grown since then, and we've had we've had the GFC, we've had all sorts of political and economic events, and still ongoing. So, and then there's, as the leader, owner of the business, it requires me to grow as a person, keep my continual professional development, to keep taking that to the next level. So it's it's what some people may have a very specific time frame and destination. Is we haven't really set an end to this journey just yet. So
nice. Earlier on, you mentioned marketing, 3Ps, 7Ps, and all that type of stuff. What's been your favorite type of marketing that you've done over the past few years?
Difficult question.
The one that works.
Yeah, the one that works, exactly. Yes, yeah. We believe in education. If we rate, most, if not all people, not all people, but most people want to do the right thing. We believe we're selling the best product in the market. Everyone might say that, but we can actually show tangible design features that save headaches with other designs. And we essentially believe if you can make people aware, we're basically in the fire safety industry, I suppose, with our fire curtains. If you make people aware, you will, by raising awareness, which is education. So we have a free REBA accredited CPD. So we've gone for the gold standard of continual professional development with our REBA accredited CPD. And then we produce white papers. We've produced sort of 4 white papers in the last 18 months, which are a huge investment. Education and raising awareness, then that will raise the standards to which people work, because people want to do the right thing, want to use the best product and the safest and the legally compliant, and that then produces a safer built environment for everyone, and that's probably as rewarding as anything. And you get your rewards by doing that, by doing the right thing.
Yeah, there's a couple of things there, like you being a white paper, you become then the authority in the industry, right? So that helps. And you mentioned about communication, education, key principles of marketing, really. What sort of those white papers, are they that you publish or get a PR company to put out, or how do you go about getting visibility on those papers?
Yeah, so visibility is very good. So if you Google a lot of topics in our industry now, our white papers, Google obviously likes the content. I'm not an SEO expert. I'm not a content writer, but working with the team, what we've essentially put substance first. We've used, I think we call it the Harvard method of citations and references. So we've put a lot of source references. It's very much just not what we're saying. We're actually drawing on, government documents, regulatory stuff, what other authorities in the industry saying, so to back that up. So with a white paper, it sounds like a fancy title, but it needs to be like, we're dealing with, architects, quantity surveyors, design managers, building control, fire engineers. We're dealing with, highly educated, highly intelligent people. They very quickly know if it's a fluffy document or if it's actually substance. So yes, substance comes first. Obviously, you need to present it well. But we've essentially put that first. We actually haven't we did look at hiring a PR company, and we had them do a bit of example work, and we didn't really think that the cost remotely justified the change they're making to the document. And then we just put it out there. So yeah, Google wants to give good, reliable content to its customers, people that are searching. So if you produce good content, it will, we produced a white paper. We've worked with SEO companies and specialists and what have you, who have taken, months. They'll tell you it's a 6-month journey, and they'll do all, and we've spent tens of thousands and all that sort of thing. When we produced our first white paper, it was like last September, last October, within a week, it was top of Google. And it's just done in-house. And we just did it's a 35 minute read. So 7,000 words, I'm not sure. But it was just quality substance, and Google wanted to serve that to its customers. So yeah, that's encouraging to see that, because it shows that, substance and genuine knowledge. And it's why I don't believe AI really, not in our space, because what if you said to AI, write me a white paper on, ChatGPT, write me a white paper on fire curtain regulations. All it's going to do is go and get our information that we've written in the first place and regurgitate it, with all due respect. And if you took, we're a leader in our field on regulations. Actually, if you took our content away, this might sound, I believe that AI absolutely has a place. Of course, it does, all technology does, just like a JCB or an excavator has a place. But if you don't know how to drive it, it's not it's dangerous, and not much use. But if you took our content away from Google, our white papers and what have you, and then you put in the same questions, you wouldn't actually get, because we're leading in that space, you wouldn't actually get good quality responses, I don't believe.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of fear about it, and a lot of people saying it's going to do the X, Y, and Z. Like it's just regurgitating data that you put into it. So it's great for, it's like a language learning model. So it's a great for, like, if you want to train it how to respond to customers, you need to explain every scenario, and then it would think on its feet.
Yeah,
Apart from that,
it has its place. Yeah, the danger is that platforms like LinkedIn or even any platform really could, what we were talking about, an example of it the other day. I just can't remember that, but oh yeah, it was in construction. You know, some of the contracts you see, or some of the arguments, or whatever you see, are quite lengthy. You could ask ChatGPT, produce 100 pages on it, and it just, you've got to read it, you know what I mean? So it is, yeah, it could, and it's just a lot of regurgitation, like you say.
Yeah. So one thing you touched on there earlier was about integrity. And it's funny because I've been down to Birmingham to buy a car recently, and we were the chap I bought it off with another business owner, and we were talking about how, if we almost now the definition of being somebody good in business is just somebody who does what they say they're going to do and turns up when they say they're going to turn up. And I feel like there's so much like land grab opportunity in the marketplace for you to just, if you just do what you say you're going to do and turn up when you say you're going to turn up, you just, it's like that, for somebody who's got integrity, that seems like it's the basics, but in the marketplace, it's not. They are really important attributes for success, really, and building trust with your customers. So what's your take on that? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, if integrity is like a foundational principle, and if you don't have it, I mean, you might see lots of people getting ahead without integrity in the world at large, but it's not something I'd ever, sort of advocate. It's foundation. If your foundations are cracked, then you're not going to build very high, So it's fundamental to me. And integrity is doing the right thing, whether you think somebody's watching you or not, whether you think you're going to get caught or not. It's doing the right thing. So
yeah, but I almost see it, weirdly enough, as a bit of a competitive advantage.
Yeah, we a principle we have is that everything that you do should be able to stand scrutiny. So everything you do in business, whatever it might be, you should say, look, you should basically get it out on the, obviously you have commercial sort of advantage, IP and such, but in normal circumstances, or whatever it might be, as I say, look, anything that we're doing, and any part of the business should be able to say, look, you have a look at this, and there's nobody could say, you're not doing that right, you're dodging this, or you're cutting a corner, or whatever else. Everyone should be able to just see that you're doing the right thing, and that should stand the light of day. Otherwise, don't do it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So, Charles, in terms of being a business owner, there's sometimes challenges, and there's sometimes this thing about work-life balance. So how do you manage the constraints of business and personal life and the crossover of that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, you might want to edit this, but I'm a believer in the Lord Jesus. So I don't believe I'm here exactly to sort of please myself. Family's absolutely priority for me as a responsibility. Got an amazing wife, got a little boy, another one on the way. So that's really, really important for me. I believe in starting early and finishing on time. So, finishing at 5 is what we try and do. Don't always get that. But it's yeah, in terms of work-life balance, I'm working. I believe in working, whether I'm working in charity, working in the business, you might say helping out at home, helping out, I believe in, that's a productive day for me if I'm working,
Yeah, serving.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Doing it's
Yeah.
it's the most rewarding. It's the most rewarding way today. So, I don't sort of, a lot of people would probably go, I need to have 2 weeks holiday to recharge. I've done this for 18 years, and I've gone 10 years sometimes without a single break, so to speak. I don't need it,
Nice.
So I believe in you've got to keep fit. I'm not sort of, you know, believe in, you know, you've got to look after yourself, go for your runs, take your exercise, whatever works for you. It's all about eat healthily, you know, get the right amount of sleep, but sleep can be overrated. I know all the doctors will tell you need to have X amount, but it's you can get used to having less sleep. I mean, I'm not, you know, don't take my advice on that, so to speak, but it's yeah, there's 24 hours in a day. It's our most precious commodity, isn't it? It's time.
Yeah, I agree. So from a leader, recruiter, manager, and somebody who employs people, what have been lessons and learnings that you've had from yeah, being an employer?
Attitude determines, what's the old expression? Attitude above aptitude determines altitude. So, you know, give me someone that's hungry, honest, as you say, integrity, you know, with integrity and wants to do well. They don't need to have the skill sets, but we can teach skills. We can't teach attitude. It's very difficult. You know, once somebody's got to adulthood, they've got a fairly formed attitude. It can change, but it's not so easy. Whereas skills, you can train somebody to do this. You can teach them about a product, about a process. If they've got the right attitude, you can go anywhere. You know, so I'd always say to anyone is, you know, work on your attitude. You know, be a proactive person, be a willing person, be a team player. Get rid of the ego if there is one. You know, humble, hungry, and smart is the three words that we look for in people.
Nice. Do you know what? Of all the people I've interviewed and spoken to over the years, they've always said, I look for, you know, attitude. They've all, you know, that's like a common thing. Once you've recruited 50 or 100 people, you realize like it's the attitude I'm looking for, not necessarily aptitude. But nobody's ever flipped it on its head and said, if you want to get employed, work on your attitude. That's the first time I've ever heard that. That's absolutely fascinating.
Okay, yeah, well,
Yeah,
I just said it off the cuff, so I didn't plan
yeah,
it.
it's fascinating.
But yeah, we can all, I mean, and if you want to add value to a team, if you want to add value anywhere, I did a post on this on LinkedIn, but it's be somebody that takes ownership, takes responsibility essentially. So, you know, you can see it in the football analogy, you know, if you've got a team full of people that take responsibility, you've essentially got a team full of captains or leaders, you know, they'll be successful, you know, above their level. And then you also see it on people that don't take, and they're looking for excuses and reasons, don't take responsibility, don't take ownership. And, you know, as soon as the pressure's on, you know, the cracks appear. So it's, yeah, be somebody that takes ownership for what you do, takes responsibility for what you've been given, and see it through, you know, be a finisher. Plenty of starters out there, but not as many finishers. So be one of those.
Yeah, it's making me think now. You know, if when people are putting the CV across or in interviews, like how can you demonstrate attitude? Do you know what I mean? And because I think probably a lot of things, well, I've got this qualification, I've done this, I've done that, which okay, that's all like attainment, let's say, but you know, making sure you've got a couple of stories underneath
Yeah, I don't
your
think it's
locker.
something that you can make up on your CV. It's what you are, and it's your mindset and it's your attitude, and then it'll come across in how you write it. It'll just, and it's almost it's not an uncommunicated thing, but it is just literally how you, and Chat GPT will probably sort out for you. But I'm half joking, but or I am joking, but is no, it is you will, because obviously an interview you have to do yourself, but is when you're writing. So I would actually just encourage is looking at you know, one of the, I think, classic trainer is a chap called Stephen Covey, but the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is, you know, begin with the end in mind, etc., etc., etc. You know, you could just take that. If I was going to say to people, you know, take one book or one set of training, is take that, because he's got some really timeless values in there. And you know, you talk about being proactive, so you choose how you respond is proactiveness, you know, rather than being a victim mentality. You know, you can choose how you respond. We can't control the inputs, you might say, or what's around us, but we can choose how we respond to those. And yeah, read that, take some notes and apply it to yourself. Yeah, and it'll change. I'm sure it'll change. You know, I'm learning every day, and always reading and you know, getting tips and extra coaching, you might say, and what have you, all the time. We never stop learning.
As they're saying, there's a danger it might change your life, you know, reading that book.
Yeah, yeah, well, it'll be for the good though. You know,
Yeah, no,
it's
agreed.
quality. You know, it's and I quite like it. I think he was, he says, doesn't he, somewhere about, whether to call it the 7 habits of, is it highly effective people or successful people? I remember, I mean,
It's highly
it's
effective, yeah.
semantic. Yeah,
Seven
it's
habits of highly
semantics
effective people,
anyway,
yeah.
because you will probably be relative. I don't mean successful, but he deliberately didn't use the word successful, didn't he? Because it could give the wrong sort of, people looking to get rich quick sort of scheme, you know what I mean? Which it's not. It's it's working through things methodically, isn't it?
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so just begin to wrap up. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, Charles?
Same as I am now, but just we'll be a little bit maybe bigger, maybe. One of my sort of drivers for growth is I want to fulfill. I think we all want to be the best version of ourselves. We want to fulfill our potential. We've all got tons of potential, and too much of it isn't realized. So we're all, that's why we should continue to strive every day to work, on our mindset and etc. Discipline, self-discipline. But it's one of the things I like is as we grow, is we are able to touch more people, have more of an influence, and we genuinely believe, we're trying to put better products out there which improve life safety. And that's very rewarding, as well as any financial returns, if you like.
Nice. Okay then. So Charles, how can people get in touch with you if you want to speak to you?
Get in touch with us. Yeah, reach out through the website. It's probably the best way. I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to message or connect. And or through the website, ADEXON-UK.com, which is the fire curtain business.
Nice. Wonderful. Thanks so much, Charles. Over and out.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Luke. Yeah.